So in this video, I want to cover some of the more recent news that has come out for Dragon Age the Veilguard. A lot of the prior news is just everybody dunking and dunking on the game. It's actually kind of funny. I think I'll show one particular thing that's been floating around on the internet. But for right now, I want to cover something that I think might be of interest to you because it's damn sure of interest to me, as well as diving into the Steam chart data of the game, just to kind of see where Dragon Age the Veilguard is in terms of player count and all of that. So hopefully, that's of interest to you. And if you are new to this channel, hopefully by the end of it, if you found any value, you'll consider subscribing. But anyway, with that being said, let's get into this news right here. So this comes from Games Radar. In a first for Dragon Age, the Veilguard director reiterates that the RPG won't have DLC as Bioware pivots to work on Mass Effect 5. John Epler says the studio is focused entirely on the next Mass Effect game. Dragon Age the Veilguard is set to be the first game in the series without any post-launch DLC plans as developer Bioware pivots toward the upcoming Mass Effect 5. Speaking to Rolling Stone, Dragon Age the Veilguard creative director John Epler reportedly reiterated that the new fantasy RPG wouldn't follow in its predecessor's footsteps, as the studio has no current plans for future editions. Dragon Age has had various fan-favorite expansions over the years, but the sudden change is supposedly the result of BioWare's full attention entirely shifting to the next Mass Effect game currently in development. BioWare will probably continue to give Dragon Age the Veilguard a few patches or quality of life updates, though a heftier expansion on par with its previous efforts seems to be in the rearview mirror. It might come as somewhat of a surprise to longtime fans, however, since Dragon Age Origins, Awakening expansion, and Inquisition's Trespasser epilogue are so beloved, and that history with great DLC even extended to Mass Effect 2, with Lair of the Shadow Broker and the Citadel being highlights. Focusing on Mass Effect 5 isn't the only reason for a lack of Veilguard expansions, however. Game director Corin Bush previously explained that Dragon Age the Veilguard wouldn't get DLC because the game was designed as a full. He admitted that something so important probably should have been a part of the main game itself. I haven't completed the Veilguard either, but I'm guessing it would be a little difficult to follow on from the conclusion to a saga 10 years in the making. So let me try to see if I can unpack this as briefly as I can. The way I'm seeing this is that BioWare has zero faith in this game whatsoever. I believe that if BioWare had any sort of confidence in Dragon Age the Veilguard, that they would have had something planned for DLC, because it would only benefit the game. I mean, you would get more sales, even after the initial interest of the game. Like, once the game is out for, like, say, a year or so, interest tends to die down, and DLC can kind of revitalize that interest and giving players that have played the game and players that were on the fence another reason to dive back into the game, buy the DLC, and even players like I mentioned that did not play the game at all, they may see the DLC and say, hey, this looks pretty cool. Let me get the whole bundle. So it's only really a benefit in the long run if you think about it. Especially if we look at how other games have handled DLC in the past. But the fact that they're shifting all their focus to Mass Effect 5, it just lets me know that this doesn't bode well for Dragon Age the Veilguard, in my opinion. This is how I'm looking at it. Now, I have heard and read a few articles that Mass Effect 5 is also going to be made for the modern audience. And so I'm not entirely surprised. It is what it is. This is the direction that the gaming industry is going. What do you think about that? As far as I'm concerned, I just think it's just what more can be said about it, right? So anyway, let's dive into the Steam chart data. So right now, let me refresh this actually. Okay, so right now there's 84,137 players right now. And as you can see, the peak is pretty good, 84,832. If we go all the way back to the release, right, it was pretty low, right? Okay, 60, and then it dips down around here to about 31,000, and it goes up. So it's a bit of a roller coaster, as you can see. But what I will say about these numbers, and there are journalists that are basically saying that this is like a win for them. But honestly, these numbers are far better than I think most people thought the game would receive. But these are not numbers that a AAA title that more than likely cost BioWare and EA well over $100 million to make. These are not the numbers you want to see. But I think what the shills and the other people are attempting to do with these numbers are, it's like kind of like a moral victory. Think of it as like a boxing match, right? If you're boxing somebody and you're getting your ass beat the entire fight, but you go through the whole fight and you make it to the decision and you lose, but you take the moral victory that, well, I went the full 12 rounds, I got my ass beat, but I didn't get knocked out. And that to me is what this game is. The numbers are decent, but let's just be very honest. Whatever success these type of games that are for the modern audience, typically these games, whatever success they have will pale in comparison to the success they would have if they would have just made a quality game that was more directly in line with the prior experience that many people have had in Dragon Age Origins, and keeping that particular tone and giving a good quality story. I 100% believe that these numbers on Steam right now would be so much higher. But then again, this is the current agenda that we're in right now. This is what all of the AAA publishers want to push. Well, I won't say all, but the vast majority of them. And it is an agenda, contrary to what people may want to accept, but it is an agenda. And but it's just a shame. But like I mentioned in that news article, the mere fact that BioWare is not even committing to any sort of DLC, it just tells me that they just don't have any confidence in this game. Because as large as BioWare and EA are, they could have definitely had a small team focus on DLC for Dragon Age the Veilguard, and keeping the larger portion of their dev team from Mass Effect 5. They could have done that. They chose not to do that for reasons on what I just explained. I don't feel that BioWare has any faith in this game. And also, I'm seeing reports that Mass Effect 5 is going to be pretty much made for the modern audience anyway. Now, for the fun part, if you're still around. Now, I did buy Mass Effect. I did buy Dragon Age the Veilguard. I believe, at launch. Toward the, I think I bought it either on launch or November 1st, and I bought it digitally. Now, I did say I was not going to do it, but I will admit, I bought the game mostly because, one, I am a content creator, and there's a lot of channels out there, and you've probably seen them, on the Twitch streams and all that. They'll shit on the game, but they're still playing it because it's content, right? So that's part of the reason why I decided to make that leap, as well as when I saw the initial trailer, and I did, a lot of people were very upset that the art direction was so dramatically changed from the original Dragon Age game. Personally, it was not a deal breaker for me. And then when I saw the 20-minute initial reveal, I liked the graphics. I liked the performance from what I saw, right? I saw it just the same as you guys. I liked that there was more ways to handle combat in the game, as well as the amount of skills that your character can get. So the only thing that we just did not know was how the story was going to go. And because when these games are made, they're typically made in sections, right? You have your story, you have the combat, and you have the art direction. So I don't believe that the combat has anything to do with the narrative. It doesn't have anything to do with it being woke or anything like that. It doesn't. So I actually enjoyed what I saw of the combat. There are some people who don't, and I understand and respect that. So I really was interested in the game solely from the combat standpoint. And I've even seen people that, after launch, some people have stated that they thought the combat, it was better than they thought it would be. And I'm contemplating making a poll, or maybe you can just leave a comment and let me know if you can change one thing from the game of Dragon Age: The Veilguard if you've played it, and that could be either the art direction, the combat, or the writing. And so that's the video. Hopefully you found this helpful. Leave a comment, let me know what your thoughts are of the fact that this game will have no DLC, your thoughts on the current data of the Steam. These numbers don't really affect me much because I'm on Xbox, but it does give a good indicator on the overall health of the game. So now I'm done with the video. So anyway, take care, peace. Let me know what you thought, and see you in the next one.